Senekal Magistrate's Court has just wrapped up for the day, and it's about the judgment in the bail application of the two men accused of murdering 21-year-old farm manager Brendin Horner. Our reporter Govan Whittles joins us now. Hi there, Govan. So what's the outcome? Has bail been granted?
The judgment has been postponed until Thursday, Sally. That's after a riveting day of cross-examination of the investigating officer and closing arguments by the defense for these two accused, the response from the state, and some disclosures that not a lot of people were expecting. So the first really big one would be the state's disclosure that a private forensic lab has analyzed 3 DNA samples that were found in Brendin Horner's bakkie and has found that one of those samples, or one of the accused, is excluded from a match from those samples, while the other DNA swab given by the other accused was defective and couldn't be compared to the DNA in the bakkie. That's important because the initial report suggests that at least one of these accused was not in the bakkie that was taken after Brendin Horner's murder and dumped about 13 kilometers away from the site. But it's been a day of defense lawyers poking holes in the state's case, which initially seemed to be quite strong, but the defense saying that they found a number of discrepancies, inconsistencies in witness statements and circumstantial evidence, and they believe that there really is no point of not releasing these accused on bail, and going as far as saying that they believe there won't be any threat of unrest. Let's have a listen now to one of the lawyers for the first accused, Mr. Mahlamba, and what he had to say about inconsistencies in the evidence.
His chief reason, Captain Mayberg, is that the release of applicants on bail might lead to public disorder and unrest. Albeit my learned colleague has already alluded to the very important concession, which was actually extracted from the witness with regards to non-existence of that fact of unrest. Much as he has made that concession, difficult that it was for him to make that concession that there is no likelihood of unrest. I submit with respect that if there were to be any unrest as a result of the release on bail of the applicants, same would have been experienced even in the related cases where bail was fixed.
All right, so the defence lawyer there is saying that this concern that if they're released there'll be unrest, he's saying that's not the case. You know, last week I think it was, we were hearing reports that one of the accused apparently had been arrested before for Stockfell cases, was possibly out on bail. Can you confirm any of that from what you've been hearing in court today?
Yeah, he has previous convictions for stock theft. They date back to almost a year ago, but his defense lawyer is saying that that shouldn't be considered now because even when he had to appear in court on those charges and before he was convicted, he hadn't absconded from being granted bail, and that sets a precedent for his behavior when he does face criminal charges. But of course, the prosecutor is saying that in this area, Lesotho is almost a walking distance, and they believe that if they do grant bail to these two accused, they might flee. Of course, there is the bigger threat of community violence. It's a threat which the police service and the South African State Security Agency is also taking very seriously, and they have confirmed that it is a risk being considered. But with regards to the accused, another very interesting part of the testimony today is a revelation by the investigating officer that the brother-in-law of one of the accused allegedly threatened a witness through a third party at a funeral this weekend, and the threat was significant enough for one of the witnesses to consider deposing an affidavit and for the police to put into place its security mechanisms to ensure that the witness is placed under protection. So there are a number of developing incidents in this case, and it seems as if there is division on whether or not the accused posed a threat to the stability of society. Well, today we haven't seen the protests that we saw last week, and that suggests that there is some calm in the area. But the testimony of the investigating officer and the appeal by the state prosecutor that this bail application not be treated as a mini trial is sure to weigh heavily on the magistrate as he prepares to make his judgment on Thursday. The state prosecutor has said that he doesn't want the magistrate to consider things such as the private lab's DNA results or claims by the defense lawyers that most of the evidence is circumstantial and there's no direct evidence or DNA evidence linking the accused to the crime, and only decide the bail application based on whether or not the state has a prima facie case. The defense lawyers don't think they do, but they argue that even if they do, there's sufficient legal precedent in South Africa to grant bail even when there is prima facie evidence based on the track record of the accused and not having absconded from court before.
All right, so that matter rests until Thursday. Let's hope we get a decision then. Thank you very much for giving us such a comprehensive update. That, of course, is our reporter in Senekal, Govan Whittles.